Okay, let's unpack this. Few figures, I mean, really few figures in modern history captured global attention, devotion, and, well, such intense tragedy, quite like Diana, Princess of Wales.
That's right. She was known simply universally as the People's Princess. And that designation, it really speaks volumes about her unique ability, doesn't it, to connect with people across just about every social barrier, status, continent imaginable.
Absolutely. And today we're not just, revisiting celebrity history. That's not the goal here.
No, definitely not. We are examining a pivotal cultural figure whose life, and I think critically, whose death, generated these massive political and social reverberations. Echoes we're frankly still feeling decades later.
So our mission in this deep dive is to take this, well, it's a pretty dense stack of sources. We've got early biographical timelines, detailed fashion analyses, official royal records, and that immense police investigation, Operation Paget.
A huge undertaking, that one.
Right. And synthesize them into a coherent narrative.
And our goal for you, the listener, is really to cut through the, let's call it the celebrity noise. We want to deliver a thorough understanding of her enduring impact.
What that actually was.
Exactly. Her, revolutionary humanitarian methods, her profound cultural influence, and also get into the exhaustive, quite complex investigation into the exact circumstances of her tragic passing.
It feels like we want to understand a life that was arguably over, just as she was truly finding her independent voice.
Precisely. A voice she was starting to use very powerfully.
So let's start right at the very beginning. The so-called Spencer years and the unlikely genesis of this modern royal fairy tale.
Yeah.
Diana Frances Spencer, born July 1st, 1961, at Park House in Norfolk. And this is interesting. It's very close to the royal Sandringham estate.
Right. Proximity from the start.
Yes. And it's crucial to establish right away, she wasn't exactly a commoner stepping into a noble world. Not at all. She was deeply embedded in the British aristocracy. Her father was Viscount Althorp. And then, in 1975, her grandfather passed away. Her father inherited the earldom, and poof, she formally became Lady Diana Spencer.
That's the moment. And this is also when the family moved to the ancestral seat, Althorp.
Althorp. Which, it's fascinating. You look into it, it's not just some large house. It's a historical, stately manor. Dates all the way back to 1508.
Yeah, it really underscores the deep roots of her lineage. Very established family.
But despite this, quite noble backdrop, her childhood, it was marked by upheaval.
It really was. Her parents, the Viscount and Viscountess Althorp, they separated in 1967. The marriage was dissolved in 1969. Diana was just, 8 years old?
Just 8.
And she and her siblings, they stayed primarily with their father. This early experience, of a broken home, it's often cited, isn't it, as a key contributor to her later empathy, that ability to connect with people suffering.
Makes sense. So educationally, she attended preparatory school, then West East boarding school. And apparently she didn't excel academically, failed her O-levels multiple times, the sources say.
Yeah. Right. Academics weren't her strong suit. But her talents were distinctly creative and nurturing. She was known to be an accomplished pianist, apparently quite good.
Interesting.
And she excelled in dancing and domestic science. These are, practical, artistic skills. It kind of contrasts sharply with the often rigid historical education that was typical for royal consorts, right?
A very different skill set.
She left West Heath in 1977, tried finishing school for a term at the Institut Alpenwitte in Switzerland. But, it seems she quickly decided that structured, formal education just wasn't for her.
Not her path.
No. She returned home in 1978.
And this leads to what is, for me anyway, arguably the most striking detail of her pre-royal life, her actual non-royal job.
Yes. Before the engagement, she worked as a kindergarten teacher and assistant at the Young England School in Pimlico, London.
I mean, actually working, washing dishes, helping with lessons, dealing with everyday life. That's a profoundly grounded experience that almost no other future queen consort had shared.
It really gives you a sense of the kind of person she was before the, let's call it, the machinery of the monarchy took over.
And that machinery spun up incredibly fast, didn't it?
Unbelievably fast. She reportedly met Prince Charles only 13 times before their engagement was announced, February 24th, 1981.
13 times.
Yes.
Just let that sink in for a moment. 13 meetings. And this rapid courtship, it culminates in what was, accurately marketed as the wedding of the century on July 29th, 1981.
And the location choice itself, that was strategic. They famously chose St. Paul's Cathedral over, say, Westminster Abbey, the traditional royal choice.
Why was that? Seating?
Primarily seating, yes. St. Paul's offered significantly greater seating capacity, which allowed for, an enormous 3,500 guests. And perhaps more importantly, a longer, more spectacular procession route right through the heart of London.
Maximum visibility.
Maximum spectacle. The scale of the event was just staggering. Our sources confirm it was watched by an estimated worldwide television audience ranging from 750 million to, a truly unbelievable 1 billion people.
1 billion people. Wow.
The UK declared a national holiday. It was peak global spectacle. Really signaled the arrival of a truly modern royal era, or so it seemed.
And the detail on the ceremonial aspects, it's almost overwhelming when you read about it. Diana, the first English woman to marry an heir to the throne in, 300 years?
300 years, yeah. And the dress.
Yeah.
Designed by the Emanuels, it was just the definition of spectacle. Ivory silk taffeta, hand embroidery, sequins, lace, 10,000 pearls.
10,000 pearls.
And that 25-foot train, that dress alone was valued at 9,000 pounds back in 1981.
Which translates to?
Over 43,500 pounds today. Just shows the level of investment in this fairy tale image they were crafting.
But what makes this part of the story so compelling, I think, are the little human moments that kind of broke through the grandeur.
Oh, absolutely. The mishaps.
Right. Like she accidentally spilled her perfume, Kelfleur, onto the dress, had to sort of subtly shield it with her hand walking down the aisle.
Can you imagine the panic? And then there were the moments that were perhaps more deliberate statements. She accidentally swapped Charles's middle names in her vows.
Philip Charles Arthur George instead of Charles Philip Arthur George.
Oops, a little slip. But the biggest sensation, the one everyone talked about, was the conscious, apparently collaborative decision to modernize the ceremony. She notably eliminated the promise to obey him from the traditional vow.
That one word, or the lack of it, that signaled a massive shift, didn't it?
Huge. In 1981, for a woman marrying the future King of England to consciously refuse that word in front of 1 billion people, it was an open statement about the changing role of women, maybe the kind of agency she intended to bring into the monarchy.
It really was a fascinating piece of foreshadowing, looking back.
Definitely. The honeymoon followed. Started briefly at Broadlands in Hampshire, then moved to an 11-day cruise aboard the royal yacht HMY Britannia.
The famous yacht.
Indeed. They toured the Mediterranean, Gibraltar, Tunisia, Sardinia, Greece, Egypt, before finishing with the traditional stay up at Balmoral Castle in Scotland.
But, as you pointed out earlier, even as the cameras were capturing this, blissful facade on the royal yacht, the cracks, they were already peering beneath the surface of all that ivory silk.
They were. Which takes us neatly into the turbulent next decade. The marriage breakdown and Diana's gradual, very public shift towards self-assertion.
They welcomed their children quite quickly, didn't they? Prince William, born June 24, 1982.
Yep. And Prince Harry followed September 15th, 1984. And Diana was, by all accounts, fiercely protective and very deliberate about how they were raised.
She really wanted them to have a real, almost visceral understanding of life outside the palace bubble.
Absolutely. She famously took them to everyday places, fast food restaurants, public transport, theme parks, things that were just absolutely unprecedented for children in the direct line of succession.
She actually stated, didn't she, that she wanted them to understand people's feelings, their uncertainties, their anguish, hopes, dreams.
Yeah, that grounding instinct. It informed her entire later approach to charity, I think.
Definitely. However, beneath that public image of grace and elegance, the nickname Shy Di, it kind of hinted at these deep, hidden struggles.
Very much so. Our sources reveal she suffered severely from postpartum depression after William's birth. Poor self-esteem, disordered eating, specifically bulimia nervosa, which plagued her throughout the marriage.
And the media pressure.
Immense. She struggled hugely with the unrelenting, often aggressive focus of the media, the paparazzi. Just the pressure of being constantly watched.
And the marital tension, it wasn't some slow burn, was it? It was there almost right from the outset.
Pretty much. Diana recalled wanting to call off the wedding itself after she discovered a bracelet Prince Charles had purchased for Camilla Parker Bowles.
Oh, right. Engraved with their nicknames just before the ceremony.
Exactly. Talk about a red flag. Furthermore, she was apparently deeply disturbed after overhearing a phone call between Charles and Camilla, and then the ultimate sort of slap in the face.
The cufflinks.
The cufflinks. Charles wore cufflinks gifted to him by Camilla while they were on their honeymoon cruise aboard the Britannia. These were deep, early wounds. They really set the tone for the whole relationship, didn't they?
Seems like it. This private unhappiness, though, it eventually became very public. International Knowledge in 1992, Andrew Morton's biography.
Diana, her true story, based on those secretly recorded interviews with Diana herself, that book was just a cultural detonation.
Total bombshell.
It detailed her bulimia, her acute suffering, even her reported suicide attempts. It just shattered the illusion of the fairy tale marriage, led directly to the official separation announcement December 9th, 1992.
But her greatest act of self-assertion, maybe the moment she truly took control of her own narrative, moved from, I don't know, victim to player, that came later. The BBC Panorama interview, November 20th, 1995.
Oh, that interview. Masterful in a way, and deeply destructive to the image of the crown. She publicly, very candidly discussed her and Prince Charles's infidelities, famously stating, well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it's a bit crowded.
Such a killer line. But crucially, she went even further, didn't she? She openly questioned Prince Charles's suitability to be king.
She did, publicly suggesting she didn't see him fulfilling the role, even implying perhaps Prince William might be better suited down the line. This was just unprecedented defiance from a royal spouse. It fundamentally shook the monarchy right down to its constitutional foundations.
You can imagine the shockwaves.
Absolutely. This interview and the fallout, it prompted the Queen herself to intervene, recommending a quick divorce, which was finalized August 28, 1996.
And the terms?
The negotiated terms allowed her to keep the title Diana, Princess of Wales. But she had to relinquish the style Her Royal Highness, so no longer a working royal officially, but she was still Diana.
She continued to live at Kensington Palace, maintained joint responsibility for raising the boys, and made this really strategic choice, didn't she? To dramatically reduce her public life, focus only on a few select charities.
Yes, and that decision, it really set the stage for her most impactful and I think enduring chapter, her humanitarian legacy.
This is where, for me, Diana truly transcends that celebrity status. She deliberately adopted a completely new approach to charity work, something really unheard of for a member of the royal family back then.
Her philosophy was very hands-on, very direct. She wanted to bring the monarchy closer to the people, leverage her immense celebrity platform for global good. She explicitly stated, and this is a key quote, I think, "If I'm going to talk on behalf of any cause, I want to go and see the problem for myself and learn about it. I need to smell it, touch it, feel it."
That's powerful, that directness.
And she chose causes the royal family traditionally avoided, didn't she? Issues that were messy, complex, stigmatized. The most pivotal moment of this new approach probably came on April 10th, 1987, concerning the burgeoning AIDS crisis.
Right. At that time, the public discourse around HIV/AIDS, it was just saturated with fear, ignorance, intense ostracization.
Totally. There was this widespread, completely scientifically unfounded fear that the disease could be transmitted just through casual touch.
So Diana visits the UK's first purpose-built HIV/AIDS unit at Middlesex Hospital. Cameras rolling, world watching.
And she walks up to a patient suffering from the illness and shakes his hand without wearing gloves.
That image, the profound significance of that simple, visceral action. It just can't be overstated, can it?
Not at all. By performing that handshake, she used her huge platform to publicly dismantle that dangerous myth about casual contact. She helped instantly dispel ignorance and, maybe more importantly, reduce the sense of terror and shame felt by those affected. It was huge.
She went on to become a patron of the National AIDS Trust, opened the landmark AIDS Center in London in '89. She wasn't just donating money, she was donating legitimacy, attention, and compassion.
Exactly. And that same fearlessness, it characterized her tireless work in her final year, 1997, advocating for a worldwide ban on anti-personnel landmines.
Another incredibly difficult, challenging issue.
Hugely. She sought to shine the global spotlight on the innocent victims of these weapons, often children, long after the wars that planted them were over.
Her specific actions in early '97, they were transformative, weren't they? Visiting Angola in January, a country just devastated by these remnants of conflict.
Absolutely. And our sources highlight this staggering statistic she often cited. Angola had the highest number of amputees per population anywhere in the world. Roughly 1 amputee for every 334 inhabitants. Just awful.
And during that visit, she famously donned protective gear, walked across a cleared minefield. That image also went global.
That symbolic act was crucial. She highlighted the ongoing danger faced by innocent civilians, farmers, kids just trying to play in areas that were supposedly safe but still held these residual threats.
Then she traveled to Bosnia in August, just weeks before her death. meeting with mine victims, their families.
Yeah, in the footage from that trip, you can see her speaking so powerfully about the need for the international community to sign a treaty, noting that globally, up to 2,000 people every single month were being killed or maimed by these hidden weapons.
The impact was immediate, undeniable. Her high-profile, compassionate advocacy contributed significantly to the International Anti-Personnel Mine Ban Treaty, the Ottawa Convention, signed and ratified just 3 months after her death.
She really put the political pressure exactly where it needed to be, a direct legacy of her work.
And of course, her sons, particularly Prince Harry, have actively continued this work, haven't they? Carry on her mantle, becoming a patron of the Halo Trust.
That continuity is important. The organization dedicated to removing war debris, including landmines, worldwide.
Beyond these huge global issues, though, she maintained a strong focus on domestic, persistent humanitarian issues, too, like homelessness. She became patron of Centerpoint in 1992.
Right, and again, she didn't just lend her name. She regularly took William and Harry to visit homeless shelters, making sure they understood the reality of poverty, marginalization, right there in London.
Part of that deliberate effort to instill a sense of, well, normal empathy in the future king and his brother. And Prince William continues that today, right? He took on the patronage in 2005.
He did. And similar to her work with AIDS, she tackled the deep stigma surrounding leprosy, became patron of the leprosy mission in 1990.
Another condition where sufferers were often shunned, isolated, based on these ancient, incorrect fears about contagiousness.
Exactly. So she made a point of physically touching affected people, shaking their hands, sitting with them, just to dispel the myth that the disease could be contracted by simple touch.
It demonstrates the consistency of her approach, doesn't it? Active, physical, highly visible compassion.
Totally. And it's telling that after her divorce, when she dramatically reduced her commitments, the leprosy mission was the only international development charity she kept right up until her death.
She also supported health and research causes, president of Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children, the Royal Marsden Hospital. In 1996 alone, sources show she raised over £1 million for cancer research.
It's this combination of, global policy influence and deeply personal, hands-on care that really defines the People's Princess.
And this commitment to humanitarianism often went hand in hand with her incredible style and cultural influence, which she masterfully monetized for those very same charities.
Yes, she wasn't just famous. She was a global fashion icon, full stop. She had this close, powerful association with the fashion world, and she was instrumental, really, in raising the profile of younger British designers, gave them an international stage just by wearing their clothes.
Her wardrobe choices seem so meticulous,
Yeah.
deliberate, signaling different phases of her life, from the romantic ruffles and high collars of the early 80s.
The shy dye look.
Right, to the power suits, the structured silhouettes of the late 80s when she started asserting herself more. And then finally, that sophisticated autonomous style of her post-divorce years.
Definitely a style evolution, and you absolutely cannot discuss her fashion legacy without talking about the famous revenge dress.
Yes, the stunning off-the-shoulder black silk dress. Worn on the very evening Charles publicly admitted his infidelity in that TV interview in 1994.
Perfect timing. It was just a perfect, silent piece of public relations, wasn't it? It was a dress that totally broke royal protocol, far too daring, too short, too black for tradition, but she wore it with such undeniable confidence. Autonomy.
It was her declaration of independence.
Yeah.
Symbolized her post-divorce self-assertion maybe more powerfully than any press conference ever could have.
Absolutely. And what's truly remarkable, I think, for our modern listener is how she laid the blueprint for timeless, casual chic. Forget the ball gowns for a second.
Right. Her ultra-casual looks, that classic pairing of bike shorts with an oversized crew neck sweatshirt.
We're talking with high socks and trainers, yeah. Or mom jeans with a white button down and a blazer. These looks are totally cycling back into high fashion popularity today. You see them everywhere.
That's true. She gave us that combination of athletic comfort paired with high fashion confidence. This versatility, this willingness to mix high and low fashion. It meant she was constantly relatable right up until the end.
Definitely. And she capped off this style legacy by leveraging it directly for charity, which culminated in that massive auction at Christie's in New York, June 1997, just a couple of months before her death.
That event saw, 79 of her most iconic dresses auctioned off?
79. And it netted a massive $5.7 million for AIDS and cancer research. She literally monetized her fame, her closet, to benefit the causes she cared most deeply about.
It's just a powerful illustration of her constant visibility and dedication. which continued right up until her final days. Her last birthday, her 36th, was July 1st, 1997.
And her last official public engagements were those crucial landmine visits in Bosnia, August 7th to 10th, 1997.
Then came the tragic end, an event that just instantly stopped the world.
It really did. The fatal high-speed car crash occurred shortly before midnight, Saturday, August 30th, 1997, in the Place de Lama underpass in Paris.
Diana was traveling with her companion, Dodi Fade, attempting to evade pursuing paparazzi.
Dodi Fade and the car's driver, Henri Paul, died instantly at the scene. Diana was rushed to La Petite-Salpêtrière Hospital, underwent emergency surgery for severe internal injuries, but was pronounced dead in the early hours of Sunday, August 31st, 1997.
The sole survivor was the bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, who had serious injuries but lived.
The outpouring of public grief was just unprecedented, immense. Her body was repatriated to the UK that same evening, accompanied by Prince Charles and her sisters.
The funeral, Westminster Abbey, Saturday, September 6th, 1997, watched by an estimated 2.5 billion people globally. That unprecedented scale of public mourning, it led to this huge national reckoning, didn't it? With the press and with the monarchy itself.
Absolutely. She was ultimately laid to rest privately at her family estate, Althorpe, on a secluded island in the center of an ornamental lake. A deliberate choice by the Spencer family, really, to ensure her resting place maintained privacy, serenity, away from the inevitable tourist traffic.
Which makes sense. Now we turn to the quest for truth, which really defined the subsequent decade. The massive investigation known as Operation Paget.
Right. This criminal investigation, established by the Metropolitan Police in 2004, years after the crash.
And it was legally necessary, wasn't it? Driven by these persistent conspiracy theories, largely fueled by Dodi Fade's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, who publicly, relentlessly claimed the crash wasn't an accident, but a sophisticated murder plot by the royal family and MI6.
Yes, because allegations of a crime conspiracy to murder a British subject had been formally presented to the coroner here in the UK. The Met Police were legally compelled to investigate these claims exhaustively, which led to Operation Paget under Sir John Stevens.
And it was gargantuan in scope.
Oh, huge. The inquiry spanned nearly 3 years. A team of 14 experienced police officers traveling across continents. It ultimately cost over $12.5 million of taxpayer money.
Wow.
And the final report, 832 pages long. Just a systematic debunking of every single theory put forward.
They forensically investigated everything, right? Like the claim about a flash of light deliberately used to blind the driver, Henri Paul?
They did. They tracked down and interviewed hundreds of people, reviewed thousands of documents, conducted highly technical analyses of the car wreckage, and they definitively concluded no evidence of any flash of light.
They also had to address the motive for murder. That was a core part of the conspiracy theories. Al-Fayed claimed Diana was pregnant with Dodi's child.
And that the establishment couldn't tolerate the possibility of a future king having a Muslim half-brother. That was the allegation.
Right, so how did Paget address that?
Directly. Forensic analysis of Diana's stomach contents and blood samples was reviewed by Paget investigators. They concluded, unequivocally, she was not pregnant when she died, which systematically removed the purported central motive for this alleged murder plot.
So the crucial takeaway from the Operation Paget report, published in 2006, was unambiguous.
Completely unambiguous. All allegations of a conspiracy involving the royal family or MI6 were found to be without foundation. The evidence pointed definitively to the deaths being the result of a tragic accident.
However, the official legal closure came later. The British coroner's inquest, running from 2007 to 2008. And the jury delivered a specific verdict: unlawful killing.
Yes, and it's important to understand what that means. It wasn't an affirmation of a murder plot. It was a legal acknowledgement that the deaths resulted from manslaughter, attributing the cause to the gross negligence of two specific parties.
Who were they?
First, the driver, Henri Paul. His judgment severely impaired by a toxic cocktail of both alcohol level. His blood alcohol level was 3 times the French legal limit, and antidepressant prescription medicines.
A lethal combination.
Lethal. And second, the relentless, dangerous pursuit by the paparazzi motorbikes. And a final key contributing factor cited by the inquest: the simple, tragic fact that Diana was not wearing a seatbelt.
If she had been.
It's highly probable the outcome would have been very different.
So after the tragedy, her legacy didn't dissolve. It kind of solidified, formalized almost, became this framework for charity youth empowerment.
Precisely. Her most immediate legacy, you could say, is carried on by her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. They actively continued Diana's humanitarian mission, consciously balancing their public and private lives by honoring her informal, hands-on approach to connecting with people.
A direct echo of her approach to Centerpoint, the leprosy mission.
Exactly. And two key formal legacies were established pretty much immediately after her death. The Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund was set up, channeling that global outpouring of donations into various causes, eventually merging with the Royal Foundation of her sons.
But perhaps the most active charity legacy today is the Diana Award.
Yes, established to continue her belief that young people have the power to change the world through community action. This award recognizes and supports thousands of young leaders globally, really connects her legacy directly to future generations.
And her memory remains fixed in the public sphere through various powerful memorials too, doesn't it? The huge Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fountain.
The Memorial Walk in Kensington Gardens, the statue unveiled at Kensington Palace in 2021.
And perhaps most personally, the naming of Princess Charlotte Elizabeth Diana in 2015.
All keeping her memory alive. If we connect her life to the bigger picture, Diana's willingness to be, well, real about human contact, to kneel down to meet children, to touch the sick, to walk a minefield, and to use that ever-present camera spotlight for positive change. It fundamentally altered perceptions of the monarchy, and it redefined humanitarian outreach globally.
Her entire journey, really, from that intensely private suffering we discussed earlier, the bulimia, the depression, to her later public compassion, it speaks to a massive insight, I think. She turned her vulnerability into empathy, consciously focusing on the marginalized because she understood suffering herself.
A legacy of fierce compassion paired with celebrity activism, that sums it up well.
So that brings us to our final synthesis. We've covered the whole scope from the fairy tale that wasn't to the revolutionary work on landmines and AIDS, and that massive inquiry that closed the book on the conspiracy theories, but indicted gross negligence.
Her death was undoubtedly a tragic indictment of the excesses of the press at that time. Her brother, Charles Spencer, famously noted in his eulogy that powerful line.
Of all the ironies about Diana, perhaps the greatest was this: a girl, given the name of the ancient goddess of hunting, was, in the end, the most hunted person of the modern age.
Chilling.
It really is. And the global outrage against that aggressive press intrusion, it did lead to formal changes. The Press Complaints Commission in the UK immediately added clauses to its code of conduct, specifically prohibiting intimidation, harassment, persistent pursuit of individuals once they've been asked to desist.
A direct systemic reaction to the circumstances of her death.
So here's the question we want to leave you with. Though the official inquest closed the book on the tragedy, consider the lasting impact Diana had in turning the media spotlight back onto the paparazzi and the ethics of journalism itself. Did her death fundamentally and permanently change journalistic conduct? And if so, did those changes go far enough to truly protect high-profile figures today, decades later, in this age of constant digital surveillance?
It's a tragic legacy, absolutely, but one that continues to define our ethical discussions around fame, privacy, and the limits of the press. That is a truly complex final thought to chew on.
Indeed it is. We look forward to your next deep dive.